Welcome back to the Lucky Orange Show, where it's my goal to close the gap between knowing about a business topic and being able to do something with it in the real world. On today's episode, I'm speaking with high level marketing senior SEO strategist Don Marks. Now, we could and probably will have several episodes of the Lucky Orange Show dedicated to search engine optimization. On this specific episode, though, Don and I talked all about how to apply AI tools to your SEO strategy, how to win when it comes to local SEO and the role that an authentic brand plays in local SEO, as well as how to stay on top of and take advantage of those pesky Google algorithm updates. So, if you're ready, let's go chat with Don. All right. Hi, Don. Thanks for joining me today. I'm really excited to chat SEO and learn all about the current landscape and the near future and far future landscape of SEO. So I'll hand it to you, let you introduce yourself and high-level marketing and what you guys are up to over there.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today and talk about digital marketing and SEO, something that's obviously near and dear to my heart, but obviously something that is rapidly changing. I think a lot of business owners are always looking for information on how to make their business more competitive. I've been with high-level marketing going on, it'll be 9 years in February, and I've been in the digital industry going on 17 years. So it's been quite a ride. High Level Marketing is a digital agency. We have been in business since 2008. We're in about 5 different states right now. We have over 1,000 clients, and we work with a variety of different types of businesses, from local businesses that might be a dentist that helps people in Nashville, Tennessee, that's trying to grow their practice to get more teeth whitening, to large nationwide manufacturing companies that cover the entire United States, as well as trying to attract customers overseas. So we work with a wide range of clients across a multitude of industries, and I think the fact that we've been around for over 15 years and work with thousands of clients give us a really unique perspective into ever-changing landscape of digital marketing, and really kind of what's changed since we started to where we're at today, and trying to kind of foresee what's going to happen in the future and how to position our clients to be successful.
Ever-changing is definitely the way to put it. And I imagine, having been in this world for over a decade in some parts, and you've seen lots of trends come and go, lots of pieces of advice come and go. And I'm just curious, at a high level, what you've seen changing most recently, and maybe specifically how businesses can and should keep up with how things change.
Yeah, so I think when I look at 2023, in my history of digital marketing, there's never been a year with more changes that have occurred within the industry in terms of technology, software, algorithm changes. So I think as a business owner, it's really challenging to kind of disseminate fact from fiction, because I think they're getting hit from all angles. You turn on CNBC, and every company that's up, on the Dow is because they've invested in AI. And so immediately, as like a small business owner, you're thinking like, what is AI doing for my business? And is my website set up to be AI compliant? And, how do I get more customers from AI? So I think there's a lot of what I would describe as noise within the market right now. And I think, when I look at our business, and when I look at like where most businesses that are going to be set up to be successful in 2024 need to be, it's really back to basics, right? It's building your brand. It's establishing a website that resonates with your potential customer base. And then I think more than anything, it's measuring the data. I think one of the things that I think is going to become more and more important for business owners as they move forward is really understanding who their customer is, and when their customer gets to their website, what decisions are they making, where are they going, and trying to make sure that they're answering the right questions that those customers have. Because I think, when we look at like the search experience, fundamentally Google, always goes back to, what's best for the user. And a lot of that really relies on when the user gets to your website, are they having a great experience?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned earlier that high level marketing does a lot of work with regards to localized SEO and local SEO. Is there anything specifically there that you would give to businesses as advice if they're trying to hone their local SEO, or really any of these trends that we're talking about that apply in a unique way to that part of the audience?
Yeah, so I think one of the big components of being successful locally is being authentic, right? And I think one of the ways that business owners need to embrace that is um, the willingness to adapt to technology within their workspace and um, get away from using like stock photography and embracing like getting their employees pictures on their website and on their platforms and doing videos with their employees and really kind of leveraging what's authentic and what's unique about them and what makes them a you know a real business within that local market area. And I think that's really something that more business owners are going to have to get comfortable with. I think for a long time that the use of like stock photography and canned videos got things started. But I think as Google has shifted and as algorithms get more sophisticated and as users get more sophisticated, is they want to know who's coming to my house, what type of service is going to be provided, what does your team behind the scenes look like. And I think the only way to do that is to really embrace capturing your people and putting your people at the forefront of your company.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think you called out, the consumer continues to evolve too, and their demands on a brand, they have expectations that it's not just going to be some faceless entity that's trying to sell them something. There's a deeper thing there, and there's a connection to be made. You called out AI and tools there. I'm curious if in your interactions with clients and on your team's discussions as well, if there seems to be a demand for you all as an agency to include AI in your offerings, even if it's at a really surface level that may not actually make a difference? Is there some sort of call from people coming into your world that say, "Why aren't you doing more with AI to do SEO?" And part of that is kind of a part B, is that I see a lot of people in the content marketing world that's like, you can kick out 150 articles a day.
Mhm.
It's obviously trash.
Right.
But there's people that are still saying this is the way to get SEO gains. Then you see somebody posting their search traffic and it skyrockets. Then all of a sudden they
Yeah.
wonder why the next day it turns around and it goes completely away. So what's kind of the state of AI as far as people coming to the agency goes?
Yeah. So I think, as an agency, we have to take like a fiduciary responsibility to take the long view for our clients, right? And to try and leverage technology and tactics in a way that are going to benefit them over a long period of time versus chasing a short-term gain. And so the way I view SEO in leveraging AI, and I think the way we leverage it as an agency is right now we're really in a learning mode, right? What are the tools that can help us to leverage AI in a way that help us to interpret algorithms to create a strategy that's more efficient and effective for our clients long term? Content is a pretty easy AI play by a lot of folks right now because it's the low hanging fruit, right? I can go out and add 100 pages to my website, and I might get this 30 or 60-day short term lift to my visibility. But what does that do over a long period of time? And I think going back to Google and a lot of their algorithm changes over the last year, they've put a really big focus on high quality content. And, it's always been a big component of their algorithm. And I think they're struggling to understand how AI content is generated and the volume of AI content. And I think one of the dangers that a business owner faces is the idea that if I put more content on my website, immediately I'm going to have this great SEO lift. And I think in looking at that, it's a very short term lens. I think they need to be looking at strategically what is the content that my customers are searching for my business and my services, whether it's the top of the funnel, they're getting introduced to problems that they might have in their business that we can solve, or the very bottom of the funnel and the products and services that I offer that we can help them with. And I think AI content can definitely be a tool that we could leverage in a way to help us fill in some of the gaps if we're reviewing it, editing it, and making sure that it really is answering questions. But in general, all these AI tools today, essentially what they're doing is they're scraping other websites online and they're regurgitating the content in a way that they believe, fills whatever algorithm they've created within their internal platform. And so I think, if I was a business owner today, I would want to be curious as to how AI could be leveraged to help me create a strategy to make my business more successful over the long term. I might be willing to test some AI created content in very specific silos that are reviewed and made sure that they're accurate. But I don't think I would be willing to press a button and say, let me create an AI website that's going to go out and really resonate with my customers and expect that that's going to last for a long period of time. Because I think, one of the things that business owners probably don't see behind the scenes is as Google crawls websites online, there's a certain threshold to get that content indexed. In 2023, I think one of the biggest challenges that business owners don't recognize, but folks in the SEO industry do, is getting content created is pretty easy, but getting content indexed and then that content indexed and ranked in Google is completely different. And I think Google, as they try and crawl, the abundance of new content that's created because of a lot of these tools, they're getting a lot more particular in the type of content that they're willing to actually index within their search results. And so creating a bunch of content isn't necessarily going to be a benefit to your website if that content never gets indexed in Google. And if it's indexed, does it even, does it rank? Does it add value to your website? So you might end up actually doing more harm over the long run than you do adding positive gain to your website.
Yeah, I mean it's an argument. It's a continued argument for quality. It's such an attractive cheat code almost to try and
Right.
use the AI to get your cadence of publishing up there. But it's really kind of just a brand decision too, where you say we want to be, as a brand, going back to even one of your original comments about being genuine and putting your people on your website. It's a similar idea where you say, is our brand and our company a company that's willing to put out less than stellar content just to potentially get some traffic to it? And when that traffic gets to that page, if it somehow gets indexed and ranked and people get there, is this something we're proud of? And is this something that's actually going to help people, and the ultimate goal, convert them into a paying customer,
Right.
or something like that? I'm curious, very specifically regarding Google algorithm updates that are happening regularly, just at a really elementary level. Where do you go to pay attention to those and see that those are happening when they're happening, and learn about them
Yeah,
and do your best to understand what the change is?
for sure. So I think, you know, business owners are relying on either working with an agency or an internal team to kind of inform them on like what's going on within my industry, within, the general digital marketing landscape. And I think fundamentally, like all of the data really rolls up into Google Search Console, right? I think that's really the single point of truth in terms of understanding if you're looking at specifically Google and their algorithm changes and how their algorithm changes are impacting your website. Because Search Console is really the only platform that can tie into your website specifically that shares impressions, clicks, click through rate, where you're at in terms of ranking. So I would start there because I think that's a really good starting point. And then I think it's leveraging as you kind of move down, it's leveraging a wide range of tools to help you understand, where you're at competitively relative to other businesses within your industry. What's changed in your industry over the last 30 days, over the last 60 days? Are you using keyword ranking tools to help you understand where your position is at relative to before? And then are you leveraging other tools to help you understand, what's happening on your website when customers are getting there that are helping to kind of define, are they taking the right actions that are going to help you grow your business? And I think it's it starts with Google Search Console, but it's no longer just one tool set. It's really, embracing a lot of tools in trying to leverage those tools to paint a picture to understand what is your customer journey. Are you getting in front of more customers today than you were in the past? Are the customers today getting to your website searching for the same things that they did a year ago or 6 months ago? And really kind of understanding, from a funnel perspective, where those users are at, and how do you get them to engage so that you're, growing your business and growing your revenue.
And within the funnel, obviously you're targeting maybe search intent. You're trying to build content that ranks well, but that also appeals to a human reader and helps push them down that funnel. How do you help people balance and create content that hits on both of those markers, that says we want to make gains in SEO, but we also want to make sure it's high quality stuff? What is the process like there to help people?
So I think, one of the things that a lot of business owners don't recognize is that when you think about website content, you're really trying to kind of thread the needle, right? You're trying to create content that resonates with an audience to have them engage, but you're also trying to create content that resonates with the search engine because you want that content to rank and to show up when people are searching for either your products or services. So the way I would start evaluating your content on your website is, initially I would say the first thing that comes to mind is it skimmable, right? So when you look at that content, because a lot of people are searching on mobile devices, and their attention span is, it's a couple seconds. So when they immediately get to that page, like, what is the imagery that they're seeing? Are there things that are going to help them to better engage with that content? Is there a table of contents? Is there a synopsis of what's included in the content if it's long form content, so that they can maybe get to the right section within the page that answers their question? So I think it's really creating content that resonates with both a user and a search engine, but then when they get there, enabling the content to have the right um, customer experience that allows that customer to get to the section within that content as quickly as possible, that helps them to answer their questions. And I think that is done through visual elements and then incorporating some specific markup within that page that helps them to kind of easily navigate the page so that they're able to get to their answers pretty quickly.
Definitely. And I see a role on the Lucky Orange side and session recordings and heat maps there to say, hey, we want to build out some longer form content. Well, of course, then as far as performance goes, time on page, stuff like that, but also how far are they scrolling? What are they doing while they're on the page? And to your point about visual elements, are there things that they're clicking on or engaging that bring them further down the page? And what are they doing once they get down there? It's definitely a place where I see CRO tools fitting in on the content heavy sort of site.
Yeah,
Um,
I
one
would
thing
agree
that Go ahead.
100%. And, one of the things that I've been really consistent in talking with our clients about over the last 2 years is, when they look at growing their business, they need to be measuring not only their organic traffic, but they need to be measuring what happens with their traffic when they get to their website. Like, how are they increasing their conversion rate optimization? And the reason I'm really focused on this is because at the end of the day, as a business owner, you can control what's on your website. You might not be able to control every change with a Google algorithm update. So you need to expect that there's going to be ebb and flows with the number of people that are coming to your website. And some months, the algorithm may be dialed in a way that might not be beneficial to your business, right? And in other months, it might be more beneficial. But if you're consistently, as a digital strategy, working on optimizing your website to convert at a higher rate and optimizing your website to attract more customers over a long period of time, you're going to be much further ahead than your competitions. And I think that's one of the things that more business owners are starting to really recognize is, there's only a certain number of visitors that I'm going to get to my website on a monthly basis. And so how do I take those visitors and make them more productive? And what do I need to change on my website to better align the products and services that I offer so that I'm able to capture a greater percentage of those? And really the only effective way to do that is to measure them and to track them and to understand what are they doing, and then to make changes.
Do you find that you all, in the research process of saying, okay, well, we want to do what you just said, but to figure out what messages are going to resonate, what types of content, what types of layout and stuff like that, do you go into on-site surveys? Are there any other surveying mechanisms that you use in the customer research side?
So I think it really depends on the size of the client and kind of their history of being online and the volume of traffic they get to their website. There's tools that can be leveraged to display different messages to different clients when they get to the website. I think historically, most folks in the digital space would say that they rely on the paid channels to help then better understand how to update and edit the website on an organic side. So because paid is very singular and much more directional in the type of traffic that you can direct to a website, it's a lot easier to measure. On the organic side, it's a lot harder to A/B test because it's you can get into challenges with the type of information that's being served to Google and making sure that when Google gets to your website and they're crawling your website, you want to make sure that the message that's being displayed you believe provides the greatest SEO value, and it's hard to A/B test.
Are there situations where you might steer a client away from a heavy investment in SEO and say we need to focus on other areas? And more specifically, what I mean is that there might be somebody that comes to you and says, we are so far behind our competitors. They have invested in SEO for a decade, and either we're just getting started or we've never made a significant investment in it. How do you know that there's an accessible opportunity, even if it's a longer term deal? How do you know there's an accessible opportunity in SEO to actually make an impact, or is there always an
Right.
opportunity?
So that's a great question, and I think there's a lot of different ways that you could go about answering that. So, you know, when I think about SEO, SEO is a component of time or money, right? And so either you're willing to invest the time or you're willing to spend the money to try and circumvent the time aspect of where you're at from a ranking perspective. And so the way I would answer that would be we would have to understand the type of business it is, the competitive landscape that they're in. Um, if, for example, somebody came to us today and they were starting a business that was in the mortgage industry, and they said, "Hey, how long is it going to take me to rank for mortgage rates?" And we look at, like, over the past 12 months, the first page of Google hasn't changed, right? The websites that have been there are the same websites that were there in December of 2022. So thinking that we're going to rank for mortgage rates is going to be extremely challenging. And so the way that I would pose that to a business owner is if you want to capture the first page of Google, you have to have some type of a compelling product or differentiator that is so unique to the marketplace that is going to naturally gather all of this organic, natural PR and industry interests that Google would be remiss if they decided that they weren't going to put you on the first page of Google because there's so many people that are searching for your specific product because it's such a differentiator in the market area. And if you don't have that type of competitive advantage, then we need to kind of take a step back and say, okay, instead of focusing on mortgage rates, let's look at more of a top of funnel opportunity for your business and say, what are things that we can help to position your business as the leader for from an educational and informational perspective? What is the best way for a recent college graduate that has a lot of student loans to buy a home? We want to be creating content that answers those questions because you're starting to build your brand. And over a longer period of time, we expect that's going to help you to improve your SEO. So I think it really comes down to, looking at the business, looking at their opportunity, and looking at, like, are they positioned to offer something that is so different within the market area that they're going to get a lot of this natural PR that Google's going to be almost forced to include them in the first page of Google. I think a lot of business owners um, probably don't recognize that's a really big lift, right? They feel like, hey, we've got the biggest, the best, the baddest, and we should get there in 90 days, without understanding that Google's been visiting a lot of the websites that are presently ranking for 25 years, right? And so they've built up a lot of implicit trust. And when you think about a lot of the information that the digital marketing community and the SEO community has really believed in for a number of years, but really has come to light over the last 90 days through the Google antitrust lawsuit, which is, the impact of user experience and user engagement and branded search on search results, that businesses that have a built-in component of branded search are, over a long period of time, that's a huge trust factor that's feeding into this algorithm, which is, deciding who's going to rank number one, who's going to rank number two, who's going to rank number three. And so trying to crack that algorithm and get your business to, crack the first page of Google really involves a lot of analysis, strategy, and then putting the right plan together. And so if you came to us today and you said, hey, we've got a $50,000 budget or a $500,000 budget for our marketing, what's the best way for us to approach this from a digital perspective? We're going to try and give you the best advice possible in terms of how to leverage that so that it provides the greatest impact on your ROI, and also paints a realistic perspective of, like, how do you grow your organic base to really position yourself to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, SEO doesn't live on an island. And so if you can build up your brand in other ways, and whether it be social or review sites or whatever your mechanism might be, it feels like it makes SEO easier if you have some lift happening and some growth happening in those other areas. And even I'm not sure who said this, but I read once somebody said content makes sales easier. And so, yeah, of course you want to skip right to the bottom of the funnel and say, here's our mortgage rates, click apply. But the sale, if there's a salesperson involved, if there's a sales process involved in some way, the education of a top of funnel or even middle of funnel piece can make that bottom of funnel effort much simpler and more straightforward.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, when you look at consistently the best brands online that are competing in uber competitive spaces, like, they're not just bottom of funnel focused, right? And, as an example, like NerdWallet, which is, like a huge website in the personal finance space. You look at the proportion of content that they're creating that is informational and educational relative to, like, what's the best credit card for traveling to Europe, right? I mean, they're creating content that is, I have a 620 credit score and I want to improve my credit over the next 12 months. What's the best way to get there? And they're helping that customer, you know, understand, like, what do they need to do to put themselves in a better perspective. And along the way, they're building their brand and they're capturing that customer, and likely they're either remarketing to that customer, or they're trying to get them onto their platform in a way to engage and market to that customer in the future. And I think more businesses are going to lean into that model because of how competitive the bottom of the funnel has become.
Definitely. Things keep getting more competitive. And we've talked a lot about how things have changed and how things continue to change. But right now, what out of everything has you most excited, either SEO or otherwise, on your end?
Yeah, great question. So personally, what excites me is companies like DuckDuckGo, and what's going to evolve in SEO in the next 1 to 2 years in terms of who's going to enter the space from a competitive perspective. I think there's a lot of opportunity as Google is changing their user experience and really leaning into the AI component of answering questions, and as ChatGPT and that gets integrated into Bing. I think there's really an opportunity that you're going to see the search experience is going to really expand beyond Google. I think, Google's dominance of the search landscape has been around for a long time. And I think what's happening today is, as that platform becomes challenged because of AI, I think you're going to see more companies are going to adopt a search component within their ecosystem, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Apple, whether it's Microsoft. You're going to see search is going to evolve. And I think that's really good for the SEO and the digital marketing community because it's going to provide more opportunities beyond Google to, help get in front of new customers and help to build your brand. And I think it's, companies like DuckDuckGo and potentially new companies that are going to enter the search landscape are going to make it easier for new businesses to compete because they're not competing against 25 years of legacy data built into an algorithm.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it presents opportunity in so many different ways. Well, it's amazing, Don. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. Before
Yeah.
we call it, where can people find you online? Where can people learn more about high level marketing?
Awesome. So highlevelmarketing.com is really the best way to find us. We work with, thousands of different small businesses, medium-sized businesses across the country. And, we really take a very different approach when it comes to SEO. We really try and be transparent with the tactics that we're deploying and the services that we're offering and really make sure that we're aligning our strategy with the long-term interests of a business so that we can really help you to grow and to be successful not only in the next 90 days but really for the next 2, 3, 5 years to come. And we're definitely excited to work with anyone that's out there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Awesome. Thanks for the time today, Sean. Appreciate it.